I'm Patricia, sitting in this federal courtroom, looking at my parents in the defendant's seat. I feel a sense of calm that comes after a storm. The judge is about to read the verdict, and I know that my long-fought battle is almost over. But it wasn't always like this. My family has always been centered around my older brother, Henry. My father, Robert, is a strict and traditional businessman who built a successful law firm in our small town. He believes in the hierarchy of the family, where the son is the heir and the daughter should support. My mother, Elizabeth, is a housewife who has always put Henry's needs above mine. I worked hard to become an nurse. I put myself through nursing school, took on extra shifts, and finally bought a small apartment in the city. I was proud of my achievements, but in my family, it seemed like they didn't even notice. One Thanksgiving, when I told them about my promotion to a lead nurse, my father just asked if Henry was coming. 6 weeks ago, my world turned upside down. At 2 a.m., my mother called, sobbing. Henry was in the hospital, his kidneys failing due to years of excessive partying and a lack of self-care. I rushed to the hospital. When I saw Henry, pale and connected to a dialysis machine, and my father standing there like a general planning a battle, I knew something was wrong. A week later, my mother invited me to a family meeting. At the dinner table, my father started talking about the long transplant waiting list. Then he mentioned that I was the only one in the family with O-negative blood, a universal donor. They were hinting at me donating my kidney, but they said they were just thinking out loud. Henry sat there, silent, scrolling through his phone. I knew what they were up to, but I played along. A few days later, I told them no. I explained that I needed both my kidneys for my own health, and that Henry's condition was a result of his own choices. My father exploded, saying I was letting my brother die. My mother started crying theatrically, accusing me of being ungrateful. After that, strange things started happening. I was removed from the family group chat without a word. A coworker told me that someone had called the hospital asking about my mental health. I knew it was my family, but I hoped it was just a moment of anger. Then, my mother called again, crying softly. She said they wanted to make things right and had scheduled a family check-up at a private clinic outside the city. I was hesitant, but after weeks of being ignored by my family, I wanted to believe that they had changed. On the day of the appointment, I went to the clinic. It was a fancy place, with marble floors and fresh flowers. My mother met me in the parking lot and gave me a cashmere cardigan. When I signed in, the nurse called only my name. My father and Henry were running late. I followed the nurse into the examination room. It felt cold, not just the temperature, but a coldness that made my spine tingle. The nurse gave me a paper gown and a cup of water. I knew something was off, but I drank it anyway, thinking I was being paranoid. As the effects of the sedative in the water kicked in, I started to feel dizzy. I tried to reach for my phone, but my fingers couldn't grip it. The door opened, and I saw my father standing there, his face blank, like he was just doing a necessary task. A nurse, who I later learned was named Laura, stepped in. She was calm and efficient, like she had done this before. A doctor in a white coat told me not to worry, that I wouldn't remember anything. I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. The last thing I saw was my father turning away. When I woke up in the recovery room, I felt a sharp pain in my back. I knew immediately what happened. When the doctor, Dr. Thompson, came in and told me that the surgery had gone well and that my kidney was in Henry, I was in shock. He showed me a consent form with my mother's signature, claiming that I had cognitive difficulties and they had signed as my guardians. I knew this was wrong. I am a competent adult with a successful career. I called the police and reported the organ theft. A detective, Detective Davis, from the FBI's healthcare fraud unit, came to my room. She asked me if I knew where my kidney went, and I told her it was in Henry. My family didn't give up easily. They sent a certified letter from a law firm claiming that I had a history of mental instability and that the surgery was legal. They even got me placed on administrative leave from my job by providing false documents to my employer. Just when I thought I was losing, a colleague, Mark, an anesthesiologist, found something in my anesthesia records. The sedative was given 15 minutes before the consent was supposed to be obtained, which was a huge protocol violation. He gave me evidence of a conspiracy. 2 days later, the detective got a warrant for the email records. We found a series of emails where my father planned to document me as mentally incompetent so they could sign as guardians. Henry even wrote that I owed them. The preliminary hearing was intense. The defense attorney tried to paint me as an unstable daughter, but the evidence was too strong. The judge decided there was enough cause to proceed to trial.
Dr.
Thompson took a deal and testified against my family. I learned that my father had approached him about a family organ donation 10 years ago when Henry had a liver scare. He had already seen me as a backup plan. During the trial, Henry sent me a letter admitting his cowardice and that he knew what they were doing was wrong. But it was too late. After 4 months of trial, the verdict is about to be read. The judge clears his throat and says, "Guilty. All counts. All defendants." The gavel falls, and I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. 1 year later, I've moved to a brighter apartment. I have a promotion at work, and I'm part of a support group for survivors of family abuse. My remaining kidney is healthy, and the scar on my back is just a reminder of the strength I've found. I've learned that family doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being, and I'm finally living my own life.